Live from Theater Number 9 at the Imagine Theater in the heart of Rochester Hills, it's the 2015 State of the City Address with your host, Mayor Bryan Barnett. Tonight's guests, Anita Saini, U.S. Senator Gary Peters, with special appearances by Les and Seth Gold. Musical guest, Kenny Nelson. And our hot house band, Hot Sauce.
All right. Woo! Hot crowd tonight. Look at this. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome tonight. It is my privilege to welcome you here to tonight's show, the Rochester Hills State of the City. Look at this crowd. I'm telling you, we have a hot crowd tonight. Super excited about this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show for you this evening, and we're so glad that you've chosen to join us here in the Theater 9, in the Imagine Theater, in the heart of the city of Rochester Hills. Are you guys ready to have some fun tonight? All right, all right. Well, first of all, I think this is probably the first state of the city anywhere in the country with a live band. You guys enjoying Hot Sauce? Darrell, show them what you guys do real quick. Show them. Hot Sauce, ladies and gentlemen. They're all house band tonight. Hot band, hot crowd. Here's what everybody's talking about. You probably all heard this. Brooks Patterson, who I believe is in the crowd tonight. Big round of applause for Brooks Patterson. Have you all heard that Brooks Patterson has just announced that he's running for a record 7th term as Oakland County Executive? You heard this news? It's great news. Everybody's excited about that. Ironically, upon making that announcement, the price of fossil fuels immediately jumped 25%. Now, I'm not drawing any correlation here. I'm just simply reporting the news. Brooks is a great friend of mine, and I certainly would not suggest to tell you that he's old. But I would tell you that when he and Brian Williams first settled the area and were negotiating with the Native Americans on the boundaries of our county, I think they did a great job, don't you? I think they really did a great job. And how about that Brian Williams, man? That guy's everywhere, isn't he? Really, really a great job. NBC News guy's everywhere. And speaking of our beloved Oakland County, right? Did you see where a recent report just released, you probably have seen this report, shows that Livingston County has now surpassed Oakland County in terms of Michigan's wealthiest county. Have you heard this news? Yeah, I know Oakland County is disputing it, but the report's out there. Most people feel that it's directly attributable to the popular TV program called Pimp My Barn that has really jump-started Livingston County's economy. Those are all over Livingston. We think it's been a big deal. Livingston County, by the way, instantly passing Oakland County in terms of wealth is unbelievable. It's sort of like having your younger, less attractive, less popular, less exciting brother get elected. So, Brooks, it can happen. It can happen. Speaking of counties, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of counties, anybody from Macomb County in here tonight? How did that happen, first of all? How did that happen? Macomb County just had some exciting news. You probably all heard this. You read the report that Macomb County just released their first mobile app. It's big news. Everybody's talking, exciting. And the app is really interesting. It's got a lot of the normal features you think an app would have, but it has a couple really unique, special Macomb County features. I'll highlight a couple of those for you. First of all, it alerts you every time the Red Wings score. We know there's a lot of Wings fans in Macomb County. One other unique feature, it has a real-time tracking of all 70s and 80s Corvettes and Firebirds in the county, which is big over there. For fishermen, it has a Lake St. Clair walleye report. And my favorite, Brooks, you'll love this, and you know this feature, it has a I wish I lived in Oakland County feature where you get a fake Oakland County address and a pretend 248 phone number. So really, all the things Macomb County residents really find useful. Thank you for that. Now the app, give the app some time. The app currently only has 11 downloads. We checked this afternoon, but we don't think it's because of the functionality. We think it's because of the unusually high number of flip phones still in use in Macomb County. Eventually they'll get there. Let's see, who else is in the crowd tonight? Who else did I see? Greg Hooper's in the crowd tonight. Give Greg Hooper a round of applause. I saw Greg walk in. Greg is our outstanding city council president. He runs the city council with a firm hand. He's steady but fair, and he's probably best known for timing people out when they start to wear out their welcome. Thanks, Greg. See what you did there? Always got that thing with him. Appreciate that. Let's see, who else? First of all, the weather has certainly improved this week, but for those of you that have been around here, you know it's been a really bitterly cold winter. How many of you are ready for spring? Is there noise out there? Yeah, me too. I'm with you. I can't stand the cold. But for those of you who've been around our community for a while, you know that our community has always really celebrated winter and winter sports. In fact, we used to be the home, these are actual real pictures, of a ski jump over at Bloomer Park. This is true. This is from the 30s. Residents would get bundled up, as you can see in these pictures. They'd head down the hill with their eyes closed and fingers crossed. So they reached a huge bump at the bottom where they were catapulted into the cold air, usually landing in some sort of awkward, jarring fashion. Well, we don't have the ski jump anymore, but we have a very similar thing. We call it Tinkin' Road. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show for you tonight. She's a graduate from the University of Carleton in Toronto with a degree in law. She's a mother, a wife, a CEO, just opened up her second business in the city of Rochester Hills. And if you want Timbits, you have to go through her. Ladies and gentlemen, Rochester Hills franchise owner Anita Saini is on the program tonight. Big round of applause for Anita. He was elected to serve in the United States Senate. He's served as a U.S. Congressman, lottery commissioner, and most importantly, as a city councilman in the city of Rochester Hills. Senator Gary Peters is on the program tonight. Senator Peters. Now, we're absolutely thrilled to have on stage tonight and performing for you a former Rochester Community School student and resident and the current 2014 WDIV Super Singer champion and recording artist, Kenny Nelson, is in the house tonight. Round of applause for Kenny. We also have some special guest appearances by True TV's Les and Seth Gold and many more surprises, so I hope you're ready for an absolutely amazing evening. You picked a great night to join us, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Hot Sauce. All right. Everybody still with me? All right. Well, we're going to get started here tonight. And, of course, you know, when you put on a great show like this, you need an absolutely fantastic team. And let me tell you, we couldn't do it without some fantastic partners. You know, it's already Wednesday, and on Wednesday, I like to catch up on my mail, return some emails, and write out some thank you notes. So because I'm a little bit behind this week, I hope it's all right, but I went ahead and wrote out some of my thank you notes in a little segment we call it Thank You Notes. Take a look.
All right, time to thank some people. Thank you, Paul Glantz, John Goldstein, and the entire Imagine team for allowing me to invite all my friends into the theater tonight and not making me prop the back door open like I used to sneak people in. Yeah, we've all been there. $5 was a lot to go to the movies back in the day. Thank you, Free Movie Popcorn and Pop, for making even boring speakers a bit more bearable. Ain't that the truth? That's why half the people are here tonight, I'm sure. President Obama might want to try that for the Supreme Court justices for his next State of the Union. Thank you, Creativity Committee, for talking me into a Jimmy Fallon theme and out of my original idea, 50 Shades of Rochester Hills. Yeah, that would have been awkward. Good call, Creativity Committee. Thank you, Nick Banda, Assistant City Manager for the City of Rochester, for being a poor man's Mike Bishop. Yeah. Tough draw on that one, Nick. Thank you, Duck Dynasty's Jace and Jep Robertson, for being a poor man's Ed Anzac and Mike Hartner. Turned into a beard show. And finally, thank you, Jimmy Fallon, for being the funniest guy on television and for being our inspiration and hopefully being cool with us tonight.
Now, there are certainly some other folks that need to be mentioned tonight, and a thank you note simply wouldn't do. I'm so blessed to be joined by many members of my amazing family this evening, including the city's most incredible grandparents, Dwayne and Darlene Justin, who just recently celebrated their 62nd wedding anniversary. My sister Andrea and brothers Chris and Matt are my closest friends, and I love them dearly. Lately, we've been hitting the trivia circuit, and I don't want to brag, but the Barnett brunch recently broke through in dramatic, come-from-behind fashion and won our first trivia contest, and with it, split the $25 gift card 3 ways. That's a true story. I'm grateful for my siblings' love and support. I'm also very blessed to have the incredible support of my mom, who encourages, critiques, prays for, and loves me endlessly, and the awesome support of my stepdad and in-laws, who are also very important in my life. However, there are 3 people that I adore most, who have been a part of every day of the last 9 incredible years I've been blessed to be your mayor. My beautiful wife, Corinne, and our 2 sons, Kenneth and Tristan. These 3 are the reason I love getting up every morning. We've had many amazing adventures as a family, and I'm so blessed to come home to these crazy smiles every night. I have to share a recent story that sums up some of the fun that we have. Tristan's elementary class came through on the 4th grade tour of City Hall last month. He told me that it would be fun to wear matching shirts the next day, so we started the tour dressed like this. And just a few minutes into it, we ripped off our shirts and spent the rest of the time answering questions about what being a mayor and what being a mayor's son is really all about, wearing matching Captain America shirts, of course. It was one of my favorite moments as mayor, and I would like Corinne and my boys to please stand up and be recognized. Love you guys. I also want to thank a team of people that deserve an enormous amount of credit for the tremendous news you'll be hearing tonight, and that is our leadership team. My 11 department directors and immediate office staff form the core of our administration and have been so wonderfully innovative, creative, and focused on serving our residents. At this time, I'd like to ask our directors and our mayor's office staff to please stand and also be recognized. Friends, we have a great community, and you're going to hear a lot about that this evening. And when you have a well-run community, you can usually trace that back to innovative and engaged leadership, and our region has just that. At this time, I'd like to ask and recognize the elected leaders who are here tonight to please stand. I'm going to try and call your name out and would ask the crowd to please hold your applause until all have been recognized. So, we have from representing the state of Michigan, Representative Michael Weber and Senator Marty Nolenberg. Oakland County Executive L. Brooks Patterson. Representing the City of Auburn Hills, City Manager Tom Tangi and Councilwoman Veronica Mitchell. The Mayor of Auburn Hills, who's probably angry at that monologue, Kevin McDaniel, is here. City of Rochester is represented by 2 council members, Rob Ray and Kim Russell. Oakland Township Supervisor Terry Gonzer. City of Rochester City Manager James Vitrano. Orion Township Supervisor Chris Barnett. Shelby Township Supervisor Rick Stathakis. School Board is represented by Michael Behrman, Beth Talbert, and Jennifer Berwick. The judges are here, Judge Nancy Karniak and Judge Julie Nicholson. Commissioner Jeff Mattis is here, and Ryan Deal from the Rochester Hills Library Board are all here. Please give them a round of applause. Tonight I want to specifically recognize my colleagues on the Rochester Hills City Council. They are a dedicated team of intelligent and selfless volunteers who desire the very best for our city. They are so integral to our success that, frankly, they each deserve an award. So you remember back in high school when they used to give out those most likely to succeed and class clown awards? Well, we're going to hand out some awards this evening in a little segment we call Tonight's Show Superlatives. City Council, you should stay seated till the very end, especially because you may not enjoy this. Let's start with the queen of our City Council, one of our great leaders, Stephanie Merida. Stephanie Merida was voted most likely to wear high heels to a City Council meeting. Seems rather obvious, right? Mark Tisdall, our Vice President, he was voted second most likely to wear high heels to a City Council meeting. Greg Hooper, we talked about him earlier. He's our City Council President. He was voted most likely to look at the dress and not see blue or black or white and gold, but rather marvel at the engineering behind the thread count. Our engineer. Councilman Kevin Brown was voted most likely to be caught dressed like a clown. Folks, this is an actual picture at a school event. So glad that I caught that one. Dale Hetrick, our newest council member, was voted most likely to beat me again in a 5K race. I'll get him this year. Tom Wiggins, who's here representing District 4, was voted most likely to unexpectedly vote no. Council will enjoy that one. And finally, representing our northern part of the city, Councilman Adam Kokendorfer was voted most likely to be called Councilman Korchin, just Adam. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's show, Superlatives. And at this time, I'd like to ask the Rochester Hills City Council, my good friends, to please stand and be recognized. Friends, Rochester Hills is absolutely on a roll. In fact, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a time in our history where we have enjoyed such across-the-board success. And we've been around for some time. In fact, our roots go all the way back to March 17th, 1817, to be exact, when James Graham first settled in Avon Township, 198 years ago, almost to the day. Brooks, you remember. Times were different. Or were they? Sure, there was less traffic and not as many Walgreens or Starbucks, but families still gathered to share a meal and talk about the day's activities. Parents worked hard to provide opportunities for their kids. Our community continues to celebrate education and freedom and has always loved the outdoors. In many respects, these key founding principles are still visible in today's Rochester Hills. And over the past 198 years, more and more families, businesses, friends, and visitors have come to know and love what our community is all about. And while not always stated as such, it's clear that our community's long-standing guiding principle has been to be the preeminent place to live, work, and raise your family. And for decades, the leaders of this community have carefully charted our course. From sending every eligible young man to fight in World War I, as our little Stony Creek village did in 1918, to the tinkering the Dodge brothers did over at Meadowbrook a few years later, to the cutting-edge robots Fanuc creates on Hamlin Road today, our city has grown and changed with the times. And from these humble beginnings, Rochester Hills is now the 15th largest city in our state. And tonight, our show is going to celebrate our leadership and innovation, and the many people both responsible for and impacted by our city's success. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show for you tonight. Local businesswoman and CEO Anita Saini is here. Senator Gary Peters is on the show. Musical guest Kenny Nelson is in the house. Hot Sauce is here. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back after these commercial messages. Guys, eat one of these. Why? Because you guys aren't you when you're hungry. Better?
Better.
And we are back. We are here tonight in Rochester Hills for a very special evening in a very special community on a very special day. And before we went to the break, we were talking about the incredible growth happening here in Rochester Hills. And a deeper dive into those numbers certainly bear out that something really special is going on here. Now, traditionally, I always tend to lead with these housing statistics because, in my opinion, they're some of the most important we have. These are really the building blocks for any community. New families putting kids in our schools, helping support our nonprofits, and demanding new services from our retailers and businesses. Each year, hundreds of new home buyers make the pilgrimage to City Hall and to my office to pick up a welcome packet. Well, we decided to ask one of these new residents who actually just purchased their first home in Rochester Hills to tell us why they chose our city and what their first impression has been. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce to you the McKean family.
Hi, my name's Pete McKean, and this is my wife Jo.
My name's Adele. Hi, my name's Sylvia. And my brother's name's Hamish.
I used to work at the Australian division of General Motors, which is called General Motors Holden.
So I worked as a consulting engineer in Melbourne.
I was lucky enough to be asked to transfer over to the Michigan headquarters.
We looked at 3 different counties. Within a week we decided, well, if we do relocate, it's going to be to Rochester Hills. And we bought a house within 8 days. After looking at a lot of homes, there were so many options and all the schools are good.
I'd stayed in a lot of different places in Michigan and I found that Rochester Hills was a really nice place to stay and we loved the atmosphere.
The family feel, lots of kids outside on bikes with their family. It was just the vibrance. We just fell in love with the place.
That I could walk to school easily, that I get to make new friends, but I still get to see my old friends. Going to the library with Mommy and Daddy and Hamish and Adele.
We have no regrets moving here. We just have a feeling that we'll be here for a very long time.
It's always a good day in Rochester Hills. People don't talk like that back home.
We made him say that. A new family with some great and cool new accents, a double bonus for our city. The McKean family is here with us tonight. Let's give them a warm welcome to Rochester Hills. Round of applause. Well, Pete and his family were joined by many other new residents last year as we had our highest total of building permits since 2007. And among those new permits were nearly 100 for new homes. And when you look at those new homes that they built, well, those new homes averaged a construction cost of nearly $500,000, meaning they sold for closer to $600,000, representing, of course, a significant investment in our community and lots of new neighborhoods that I simply can't afford. The housing market in general has come roaring back. Realtors are reporting bidding wars for Rochester Hills homes, with many buyers paying more than the asking price. Property values increased on average over 11% this year, with some neighborhoods up as much as 25%. The market in our city is as hot as Greg Campy on a losing streak. In fact, the Oakland Press reported that Rochester Hills led all of our neighbors in home value increases in 2014, and NerdWallet.com recently reported that we were in the top 50 in the nation in terms of home value increases. Top 50 in the nation. Now, congratulations are also in order to our friends in Rochester, who are in the top 20 in that same category. Well done. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on any of the communities that we beat, but I will share that one of them, again, was Orion Township. Total building permits were up 10%, and building department revenue was up nearly 30%. And ladies and gentlemen, we currently have nearly 700 additional lots, site condos, and apartments scheduled for 2015. As well as over 500,000 square feet of new development under construction, with a new Holiday Inn Express, 3 senior living facilities, and several retail centers taking shape as we speak. We are on a roll. In total, the new construction value added to our community last year was $128 million, up a total of $52 million, or 68% from 2013, a 68% increase in investment. New homes, increased sales, and higher values. Yes, in Rochester Hills, when we talk about housing, we truly have many reasons to toot our own horn. It's interesting. That optimism in the past, however, has been dampened by the foreclosure epidemic in America. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Ponder's on the sax. The foreclosure epidemic certainly has touched Rochester Hills, but our economic recovery has reversed that trend and dramatically improved our foreclosure numbers from a high of 352 in 2010 to just 49 last year, a decrease of nearly 86% over the past 4 years. Simply an amazing recovery. Now, perhaps the item, however, that is most to credit for our continued success as a desirable community in which to live is the number of high-quality, high-paying jobs available to our residents. As most of you know, this mission is very personal and passionate for me. I believe most community issues can be solved by a good-paying job. And because of that, we spend an incredible amount of time working to attract and retain the good, high-paying, technology-based jobs of the future. I'm proud to report tonight that this focused approach and strategy continues to pay dividends for our residents. In 2014, 9 brand new high-tech companies were welcomed into our city, and with them over 250 new jobs and over $25 million in new investment. That's right. Aduxy, for example, is a French-based company that provides high-end plastic injection molded components to the automotive industry. They chose Rochester Hills for their first ever U.S. location and have begun hiring 25 highly skilled employees immediately. INZI is another international company which chose our city for their very first U.S. location. INZI is a South Korean-based company that manufactures thermostat housing assembly units. They grabbed a building over on Technology Drive and anticipate creating 70 jobs over the next 24 months. Now, these are just a couple of quick examples of the global impact we're experiencing and the innovations flourishing in Rochester Hills. So why are people so interested in starting a business here in our city? Ladies and gentlemen, my first guest tonight is Anita Saini. Anita loves to cook, read mystery novels, and get guests through her drive-thru in under 60 seconds. After waiting several years for the right location, Anita and her husband Ravinder chose Rochester Hills, and then just a year later chose Rochester Hills again for their second location. She comes from a family of entrepreneurs and is a busy lady, but I think our technology is working, and we're going to go out to visit her right now at her newest location on Crooks Road. I believe we have her. Yes, we do. Anita, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Brian, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Anita. I'm doing great. Anita is the CEO of a franchise of businesses, Tim Hortons, actually. And Anita, you just opened up with your husband, your second location in the city of Rochester Hills. When you were looking to get started in this business, why did you pick Rochester Hills?
Very easy, Brian. It's a great city. It's a great community. It's a great place to work, and people like yourselves are wonderful, and it makes it so much more easier. And my family's here, and we're proud to be a part of it.
Well, that's great. Your business is doing very well. What would you tell someone who's thinking about opening up a new business in the city from your perspective?
Oh, definitely. Rochester Hills is the way to go. I mean, you guys have worked really well with us. We've had no issues. I mean, you guys are it's a fantastic city. We couldn't ask for anything more.
Well, you're in, among other things, obviously the service business, but specifically the coffee and donut business. You have incredibly loyal partners and patrons. What are some of the craziest things that you've ever seen ordered at your takeout window?
Let's see. Craziest, I would say, let's say a small coffee with 18 sugars and 10 creams in it. Ooh. And our small coffee is only 10 ounces, so you can imagine the sugar and the cream in that. So maybe a little bit of coffee on the side would work.
Wow. Last question for you. Is there ever a possibility you think that you might be able to get a donut, maybe called the mayor, on your menu over there?
We can look into that one for sure.
Well, thank you, Anita. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for investing in our community. We wish you well. We're so proud that we now have a second location here of Tim Hortons in the city of Rochester Hills. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Well, not only are they creating donuts, but they're creating jobs. And with a community of nearly 75,000 residents, we have to have a wide variety of jobs for our diverse workforce. And by partnering with the Chamber of Commerce, we've welcomed many other new businesses to our community this year as well. Now take a look at this short video welcoming most of our newest partners.
really excited. You want to explain what our
I'm
idea is?
so excited. We are going to build the biggest pawn shop in the world in the center of Rochester Hills.
It's going to be 200,000 square feet, 5 stories, open 24 hours a day. This thing is going to be awesome.
We are so excited.
Yeah, you know what? This project is going to fit a little bit better in Rochester. You're going to want to go see a guy named Nick Banda, who's going to be able to help you tremendously with this deal. Yeah.
Say thank you to all the new members of our business family for investing here and for making last year such a resounding success. Let's give them a big round of applause. Now, last year we were again awarded the University of Michigan and eCities Entrepreneurial Award, scoring 5 out of 5 stars, the highest ranking of the 83 communities participating. This award aptly recognizes the way in which we foster an environment where entrepreneurs can flourish, as Anita noted. With that in mind, last year we introduced a new partnership between the City of Rochester Hills and Google to help support our local businesses called Rochester Hills Get Your Business Online. Now, this unique arrangement allowed Rochester Hills businesses to get a free website, domain name, web hosting, and access to educational resources absolutely free. This past year, I was proud to introduce our latest effort to help our business community, while helping our area's top students as well. The Mayor's Talent Initiative was launched, and it's the epitome of a community win-win. Here's how it works. By now, you're probably familiar with the Mayor's Business Council, a group I formed just months after becoming mayor. This self-funded organization of our city's top CEOs meets to provide the city with business insight and feedback. As we meet, we often ask how we can assist our job creators in growing their business. And lately, their challenge has been finding and attracting top talent. Well, enter a little bit of innovation and some great work by the Planning and Economic Development team, and the Mayor's Talent Initiative was born. We work with Oakland University and Rochester College and ask them to give us their best and brightest students. We give these couple of students a few minutes at the beginning of each MBC meeting to pitch themselves and their skills. The companies can then offer them full-time jobs, internships, or anything in between. It was a beautiful success almost immediately, as the first student to participate, Maria from Rochester College, was hired by Sanyo Machine just a few addresses down on Avon Road immediately after our meeting. We found as a city a valuable role to connect top talent with our businesses searching for it. Saves them time and money and keeps your kids and grandkids in our community. That, my friends, is an innovative win-win. You see, our motto is simple. We don't want to be in your business. We shouldn't be. But if there is a way that we can support you and help it grow, that's a role we can and will play. The bottom line is simple, and our strategy is working. We are bringing companies, creating jobs, and our residents are benefiting. Ladies and gentlemen, since the start of my administration, we have welcomed over 87 new high-tech companies, created and retained over 9,400 high-tech jobs, and nearly $210 million in new investment. In our technology parks, where 11,000 people go to work each morning, our vacancy rates are just 5.3%, the lowest in a decade. And our unemployment rate, well, that's another point of tremendous pride. In fact, I'd like a little help with that tonight, if you don't mind. We want to engage the studio audience in the first ever interactive State of the City. So grab those keypads that you received on the way in and take a look at the screen. I want you to guess what number you think represents the City of Rochester Hills' current unemployment rate. On the screen, you'll see a series of numbers representing different areas' unemployment rates. If you think the City of Rochester Hills' unemployment rate is 5.6, press 1. 6.1, press 2, and so on. You have 10 seconds to make your selection. Go. And the audience guess is 3.2%. Congratulations, you're correct. The most economists consider anything less than 5% full employment. Ours, ladies and gentlemen, stands at just 3.2%. The lowest in Rochester Hills since 2008, the lowest in Oakland County, and my favorite stat, the second lowest in the entire state of Michigan. Absolutely. I'll never get tired of talking about our low unemployment rate. And speaking of Michigan, my next guest is quite a subject matter expert on the topic. He's held many elected positions representing the people of our state. Currently, he's Michigan's junior senator, but what everyone should really care about, he got his start as a city council member for the city of Rochester Hills. I think our technology is working still, guys. I'm very pleased tonight to be joined by Senator Gary Peters from Washington, D.C. Good evening, Senator. Peters, can you hear me? Welcome.
I can hear you, Mayor. How are things at the state of the city?
Well, they're absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us from Washington, D.C. You know, you've got a great new gig there. You're the new senator representing all of our entire state of Michigan. You're kind of getting your feet wet out there. What's been the biggest surprise, and what have you learned so far?
Well, I tell you, first off, I'm very humbled to be representing the state of Michigan in the U.S. Senate. You know, my predecessor, Carl Levin, was there for 36 years, so those are big shoes. So those are big challenges for me, but I'm looking forward to this challenge. It's very different representing the whole state of Michigan and the size of it. But the one thing that I've really appreciated about being in the U.S. Senate is just it's smaller. You know, I come from the House. We had 400 plus members in the House. Now there's a lot fewer number. It's an opportunity to develop relationships, work in a bipartisan way, which is something that I feel very strongly about, that we just got to get things done, and we'll be able to do that in the Senate.
You talked about where you came from before you were in the House. Maybe some folks don't know that you actually got your political start with the Rochester Hills City Council. You went from 400 in the House back to 7 with the Rochester Hills City Council. Tell us what you remember about those days in the 90s serving as a council member in our city.
Well, I really enjoyed being on the city council. It's true, we had just 7 individuals there, so we really got to develop relationships, which is good and bad. We mixed it up a little bit during my council days, but they were all wonderful people, cared deeply about the city. But one thing that I really remember of all of the stuff that we did actually was kind of a fun thing, and maybe it's a model for how we bring people together. We actually did a stunt for a charity, and I don't recall what the charity was, but we went through one of the local car washes in a convertible. The entire city council in a convertible. People had a lot of fun with that, a lot of good video, and that's the way you bond. So maybe that's a model, but that's certainly something I remember.
You mentioned, Senator, and obviously we talked about serving in the city of Rochester Hills. Now, of course, you represent the entire state. Now, recognizing that you're here with a large crowd of Rochester Hills residents, is it safe to say, Senator, that your favorite city in the entire state of Michigan that you represent is the city of Rochester Hills?
Well, you know, certainly Rochester Hills is where I grew up. I have very fond memories, but now I have the honor of representing all cities in the great state of Michigan, and they're all great cities.
No. Well, let me push you on that just a little bit to see if we can get you to the right answer here. What is your favorite city, Senator, that would be, say, south of Oakland Township, north of Troy, east of Auburn Hills, and, say, west of Shelby Township?
Well, let's see. We have the city of Rochester is in that group. There's also Rochester Hills. And, you know, my family moved into the city of Rochester back in the 1840s, so I've got a lot of roots there. But, well, let me think. Oh, it's got to be Rochester Hills. That's where I grew up. Those are all my boyhood memories, and where I had the opportunity to serve on the Rochester Hills City Council. So, of course, it's Rochester Hills, Mayor.
Well, that's great. We'll edit the rest of that out. Senator, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. As I mentioned, we appreciate it. Thank you for your service to the Senate, and thank you for back in the day jumping in and getting involved with our city politics. We wish you the very best of luck.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and thanks for all the good work that you do in Rochester Hills, and I'll look forward to seeing you when I get back into Michigan.
Thank you, Senator. A round of applause, Senator Gary Peters. By the way, how about a hand for our technology team doing a great job tonight? They're making this look easy. So the numbers are overwhelming and undeniable. Residents and businesses are flocking to Rochester Hills, and we think we know why. For many, it's a combination of access to a talented and educated workforce, a business-friendly environment, and our world-famous low tax rate among cities in Oakland County. Of course, our educated workforce is an exceptional advantage on many fronts, with nearly 50% of our population holding a bachelor's degree and nearly a quarter having at least a master's degree. Our residents are tech-savvy and prepared for the knowledge-based jobs that we're attracting. And with two outstanding institutions of higher learning like Oakland University and Rochester College, we are perfectly positioned to remain the educational epicenter of our region. Now take for instance, Oakland University, my alma mater, and the second largest employer in our city. Now with over 20,000 students, over 100,000 alumni, and 260 degree and certificate programs, OU has quickly become a national player with a little itty, tiny, teeny bitty piece of their parking lot in Auburn Hills. The Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine is now in its 4th year and boasts 225 of our nation's brightest minds. And just last month, the school was granted full 5-year accreditation by the Liaison Committee on Medical Education, a tremendous accomplishment. Once fully integrated, the medical school is projected to have a $1 billion impact on our local and regional economy, and as Brooks Patterson is fond of saying, is single-handedly reversing the brain drain in our region. Last year, the campus welcomed new president, Dr. George Hind, and Dr. Hind has hit the ground running. Under his leadership, the campus continues to grow and reach into the community to strengthen the ties it has with Rochester Hills. In his spare time, he mostly cuts ribbons, as he did last year on the new engineering building, new parking deck, new on-campus housing, and my favorite, the new bell tower. Dr. Hind is my guest here tonight, and I would like to ask him to please stand and be recognized. Congratulations, Dr. Hind. And just down the road, Rochester College continues to grow as well. They also have experienced record-breaking enrollment, as new incoming students have increased by 68% over the last 6 years. My friend Dr. Tyson has been wonderfully engaged and supportive in growing the ties between the college and the city since his arrival. Now, as you know, if you've ever met him, he loves telling people that he's from Texas, which leads us to a little part of our show tonight where we weigh the good with the bad in a segment called Pros and Cons. Pros and cons, ladies and gentlemen, of living in Michigan versus living in Texas. First, pro. Michigan has 26,000 inland lakes with over 3,000 miles of coastline. We are a beautiful state. Cons. Texas has over 26,000 steakhouses with over 3,000 species of cacti. They also are a state. Pros, if Michiganders want to cross the international border, they need only $3.50. Cons, if Texans want to cross the international border, they need a firearm, a prevailing wind from the north, and swim goggles. Pro, you're all from Michigan, you should be a little more excited about these. There can't be that many Texans here. Pro, Michigan has given us Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and Charles Lindbergh. Cons, Texas has given us Bonnie and Clyde and Vanilla Ice. And finally, switching it up a little bit, cons, this is true, you can actually look this up, this is an actual fact. In an older, more obscure law, in Texas, it's illegal to have, quote, unusual haircuts. That's true. Pros, in Michigan, your haircut, Dr. Tyson, is totally acceptable. Pros and cons, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, my former friend, Dr. Tyson, is here tonight, and I'd like to ask him to please stand and be recognized and show off your hair. In short, ladies and gentlemen, both Oakland University and Rochester College play an important role in our city's success, and all of our organizations are truly thriving. At the end of the day, however, what really separates our community from the hundreds that surround us are the quality of life amenities we enjoy in Rochester Hills. It's the world-class senior services provided by the OPC, which last year not only served 120,000 meals, but provided over 53,000 rides for people in our community. It's the fantastic Rochester Hills Public Library. Now, I have to stop here for a minute, because last year I gave the library a bit of a hard time by showing the process for one to return a book with the old drop-off window. You might remember some of this footage from last year. Well, after seeing that video, my friend and library director, Christine Haig, pledged to change it and embarked on a $1.5 million construction plan to improve it, funded mostly by my family's late fees. That's true. The project does a couple of other things too, but who cares? As long as it fixes that drop-off window, it will totally be worth it. The OPC and library are two great examples, but we know there are literally hundreds of organizations and groups that contribute to providing and improving the daily lives of our residents, like the Rochester Area Neighborhood House, Blessings in a Backpack, and our incredible CERT team. We truly are grateful for their impact in Rochester Hills. In fact, let's give all of our nonprofits and service organizations a great, thankful round of applause. And let's not forget our top-ranked school systems. We are blessed to have such outstanding districts that not only prioritize our community's greatest assets, our kids, but also are consistently ranked as some of the best in the state. Ladies and gentlemen, a great city has great schools. And over the years, we've stood beside our schools to support them when they've needed it most. Last fall, Mayor Mike Duggan, who incidentally won a write-in campaign for mayor, he and I participated in a joint SEMCOG press conference about the importance of our public schools. Take a look at this clip.
One of the top reasons residents choose a place to live, work, and raise a family is the quality of schools and the quality of life, and those two decisions should not be mutually exclusive.
Ladies and gentlemen, without solid, high-functioning school districts, nearly everything else I'm mentioning tonight really doesn't matter. I want to thank the hardworking students, teachers, superintendents, school boards, and all of the support staffs who make learning in Rochester Hills such a bedrock principle. Let's give them a round of applause. Which leads me to tonight's musical guest. We are so excited to have a local guy who grew up for a while in our community and attended the Rochester Community Schools, here to perform with us tonight. Kenny Nelson is a rising star in the Metro Detroit music scene. He rocketed to local prominence after winning the WDIV Fireworks Sing-Off last year. He's opened for Jordan Knight and the Beach Boys and has worked as a session singer on the popular Fox show Glee. His latest summer project drops this summer, and he's performing an original song called Heartbeat. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Kenny Nelson.
Holding my breath, I take a step towards you. And I'm thinking ahead, what is this gonna do to me and you? My eyes look up, the ticking clock stops. I'm moving closer and I wanna let it go tonight, wanna feel your hand in mine, and keep freezing time with you. I know I'm alive, and I wanna feel the rush and the heat. Now you know you got me after all this time. I wanna feel your heartbeat. I wanna feel your heartbeat. From the time that we met, I think I always knew. Yeah, I fell for your charm, nothing I could say or do to be removed. Your eyes look up, the ticking clock stops. I'm moving closer and I wanna let it go tonight, wanna feel your hands in mine, yeah. And keep freezing time with you. I know I'm alive, and I wanna feel the rush and the heat. Now you know you got me after all this time. impossible solution finally in reach. The two of us are moving, no more space between. Our eyes meet up, the ticking clock stops. I'm moving closer, and I wanna let it go tonight. Wanna feel your hands in mine, yeah. And keep freezing time with you. I know I'm alive, yeah, yeah. I wanna feel the rush and the heat. Now you know you got me. After all this time, I wanna feel your heartbeat. I wanna feel your heartbeat. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Nelson, his project drops this summer. One more round of applause. We'll be right back after these commercial messages. All right, we're over here with the Graham family, Who do I have right here?
That's Teddy.
Teddy, thank you for being on the show today. Question is, top places to live in America. I need an answer.
Okay. We're going to go with Auburn Hills right now.
Auburn Hills, very nice place. Auburn Hills.
We're good.
Show me Auburn Hills. Tough luck. Who do I have with me here?
Uriah.
Thank you for being on the program. Question is, same as to Teddy, top places to live in America.
Oh, come on.
Need an answer.
Shelby Township, of course.
Shelby Township. Another great place.
Great.
I
love it.
Show me Shelby Township. I'm sorry about that, Grams. I'm sorry about that. We're going to go over to the Taylors for the steal. All right. Well, the Graham family has let the Taylors back in the game. You've got a chance. Who am I talking with over here? Candy Taylor. Welcome. We asked 100 people the top places to live in America. What did they say? What's your answer?
Well, we're going to say Rochester Hills.
Rochester Hills. All right. I like the answer. Let's see if America agreed. Show me Rochester Hills. Congratulations to the Taylor family. They're all moving to Rochester Hills. Don't miss Family Feud all this week. Good night. Well, thank you for so far for not changing the channel. Are we off here? We're still good. Okay. Well, at my last State of the City address, I promised that 2014 would be a year of investment in our parks and introduce the idea of a community garden, the reuse of the 1827 calf barn, and the exciting announcement of the development of Riverbend Park. Ladies and gentlemen, promises made, promises kept. The community garden has been a huge hit this year, and we're hoping to add a second location to try and address the waiting list of residents for the first garden. Take a look at some of the statistics from the first garden. 50% of our gardeners ate more vegetables. 40% donated all or a portion of their produce to the food pantry. And look at some of those comments from our gardeners. This project has been a major success. The Calf Barn, Michigan's 2014 Barn of the Year, by the way, is nearing the completion of its final phase, completely funded by donations from you, our generous community. The Calf Barn will now be available year-round and is already completely booked for 2015 and well into next year, another major success. And Riverbend Park, well, this is truly a wonderful story and my personal passion at the moment. Most of you know we reached out to our friends at Lawrence Tech University's graduate land use planning class who spent the semester researching, dreaming, and exploring the park. They put those dreams on paper and submitted them to the city along with sketches, charrettes, and models. Those models were placed around City Hall for the exact purpose of igniting a passion and a vision for implementation. And that's exactly what happened. A very generous donor saw the dream and was moved and pledged a $1 million donation to get things going. We then received word that the project was selected as one of 8 nationally to be submitted to the Mayor's Institute on City Design late last year. I was asked to pitch the park to some of the nation's foremost authorities on landscape architecture, park development, and environmental stewardship. They picked, prodded, and eventually provided some great guidance on how to move forward. Currently, we are engaging a professional group to assist, and in the very near future, we'll enlist key leaders to help move the project forward and develop a truly lasting legacy for our residents to enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2014, we delivered on each of those new projects. Promises made, promises kept. Overall, we know our park system is beloved, dynamic, diverse, and highly valued. And last year, for the 6th year in a row, we topped 1 million visitor days in our parks. Congratulations to Mike Hartner and our entire parks team for a job very well done. Now, parks are important to our residents, and so they're a priority for us. But the parks weren't the only department to see major investment last year. The city made a considerable contribution to improving our infrastructure as well. You remember that salt storage facility we built 18 months ago? Well, with the worst winter in history last year and some pretty big snowfalls this year, the investment in that facility has already paid off. Additionally, the Department of Public Services applied for and received a grant to study snow plow optimization. Now, it's a bit nerdy, but essentially it was provided so that we can use GPS technology to absolutely assure that we're maximizing every second we're on the road during storm events, every second. For example, we're learning that less left-hand turns are good for efficiency, and conversely, that Taco Bell runs are bad. Through innovation and creative determination, we have been able to enhance service delivery, address environmental concerns, and improve the speed in which we clean your streets. In fact, because of these factors and a myriad of other innovative solutions, our DPS fleet team was ranked one of the top 100, actually number 59 in the entire nation, out of over 38,000, by the way. Good to know that we have the best and brightest on the city's front lines. Absolutely. Additionally, knowing that the #1 issue residents rated as a serious concern was the condition of our residential road our residential road network. The City Council and administration have prioritized road funding and increased the amount to spend on your roads to the highest amount we've ever spent in the last 15 years. You told us what was important, and the elected leaders of this community have listened. Ladies and gentlemen, this coming summer we will have more residential street repair than any summer since 2002. Take a look at this incredibly extensive list of neighborhoods that we'll be visiting. And it's not just all ugly pavement this year either. With the completion of the work on Tinkin, we will be beautifying the roundabouts on Tinkin at Livernois, Sheldon, and Washington. We feel it's important to take pride in our common spaces and want our residents to be proud as well. Now, I thought I'd show you a couple of the pictures of the approved construction designs that will begin within the next couple of months. Now, while these are some beautiful designs, I do think it's important to show you some of the designs that, well, we decided not to go with. For example, this one. We thought that was bad. We also didn't like this one. And we definitely thought this one would be trouble. But perhaps just as, there's a Hello Kitty on it, isn't that crazy? But perhaps just as impressive as the amount of work we have done has been the way in which we've been able to leverage the limited resources that we've been allocated. The city has been tremendously proactive and resourceful when it comes to stretching your tax dollars. Over the last 8 years, we've invested nearly $150 million on our roads and bridges. Of that $150 million total, only $17 million, or 12%, was directly from city coffers. The rest leveraged through our partners, governmental agencies, and grants. Truly a record to be proud of. And our proactive approach was perhaps most evident in the recent signing of the NACWA, or North Oakland County Water Authority Agreement, with our neighbors in Pontiac, Orion Township, and Auburn Hills. Our city took the lead in these negotiations to put together one of the most collaborative and innovative solutions to one of the most complex problems in our region, the high cost of water. Rather than complain, we put together a plan that utilizes our partners' greatest strengths to arrange a deal that saves our residents money. How much? Well, many times in government, you evaluate a project based on its ROI, or return on investment. In this particular case, the savings for our residents resulted in an ROI of about, not 8 years, not 8 months, but about 8 hours. 8 hours. We're going to save our ratepayers over $750,000 annually. Innovation with a purpose, delivering results for our residents and allowing you to keep more of your hard-earned dollars. That's good government, and I want to thank Alan Schneck, our DPS director and one of the key architects of this agreement, for his leadership. Congratulations. It's also his anniversary today, and he took his wife tonight to the State of the City, which I don't know if that gets a boo or an applause, but good luck with that tonight later, Alan. Improvements in our roads, parks, and facilities are all designed simply to improve our efficiencies and ultimately to improve your experience living in our city. We exist to serve our residents, and proper planning for our infrastructure is a cornerstone principle of this administration and this city council. You know, throughout my administration, I've been extremely proud of the importance we have put forth on being responsible stewards of our environment. We ask our residents what they love about living here, and the number one reason they say is the environmental characteristics of our city. So, as mayor, I've taken it as an absolute challenge to our leadership team, and I'm extremely proud of the results that we've delivered. From introducing our 25 and 2 campaign, a challenge we met to reduce energy consumption at City Hall by 25% over 2 years, to the grant we applied for, which allowed us to exchange older model light bulbs with newer high-efficiency bulbs in our 2 manufactured home communities, to our efforts over the past few years to make the purchase of green space an absolute priority. Those efforts were rewarded with the acquisition of the Dr. White property, adjacent to Riverbend Park, and the crown jewel of parcels just a few months ago. We've now protected over 110 acres of land in Rochester Hills, absolutely forever, an amazing legacy for our kids and grandkids. And speaking of legacy, there is probably one major project that defines it as much as any in my time as mayor, our innovative trash program. In 2009, we used the collective power of the city to negotiate lower rates for nearly 95% of our residents. And the innovation? That came by adding those little chips to your bins and partnering with Recycle Bank to incentivize recycling. We were the first in Michigan and the first between New Jersey and New Mexico, as a matter of fact. The council and I took a significant risk at the time, and some frankly thought it was foolish. Well, 6 years later, the results are outstanding. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, this news is so good, frankly, it deserves to be slow jammed.
For this comprehensive program, only 18% of our residents recycled regularly. Today, that number hovers around 80%.
Oh yeah, Mayor Pete Jeezy, now you're talking trash.
Over 70% of our residents use the rewards program, and over 35,000 rewards were redeemed last year alone. That's nearly 100 a day, or 8 since we sang the national anthem this evening.
Mayor Trash Master. 8 since we started and the night is still young.
Over the last contract negotiation, we improved the discounts, lengthened the seasonal services, and lowered the price. In fact, over the life of this 10-year contract, we will save our residents over $14 million. That's $14 million in the pockets of our residents and not in the pockets of the garbage companies.
Oh, garbage companies, keep your hands out of my pockets.
Hey, hot sauce? Can you guys give me a little live slow jam music right now? I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our slow jam specialist, Mr. Bob White. Oh, I promise you we're the only state of the city doing a slow jam. Oh, now back to those rewards for just a moment. Tonight, studio audience, I'm going to need your help again. This year, 4 Rochester community schools have been chosen for the Green Schools program. Since this program's inception, almost $15,000 has been donated back to Rochester Hills schools to help reinforce the environmental message to our next generation. Selection in the Green Schools program means participants from around the country can donate recycling points to chosen schools for their respective green initiatives. As I mentioned, 4 Rochester community schools were selected. One of those schools, Ruther, has already met their goal, but the other elementaries are still working hard to achieve it. They are Meadowbrook, University Hills, and North Hill. Now here's where we need your help again. Grab those keypads that you have because we're going to ask you to help us choose which program will receive a major boost by receiving all of the city's 16,000 points to help reach their goal. So here's the programs. Meadowbrook Elementary's outdoor learning space. The school will convert a courtyard into a learning space consisting of native vegetation, birdhouses, stepping stones, and other items where students will receive lessons in the area of ecology, biology, and earth science. University Hills Project, their outdoor classroom project, will also provide hands-on opportunities through the creation of an outdoor learning lab. Students will create native gardens, develop wildlife habitats to better appreciate the empowering sense of stewardship that comes from engaging the natural world. And finally, North Hill is going to do enhancements to the Michigan Peace Garden. The project will include adding birdhouses, bird baths, native plant material, and signage to improve the teaching environment around native ecology for earth science topics. To support Meadowbrook, press 1, University Hills, press 2, and North Hill Elementary, press 3. Ladies and gentlemen, you have 10 seconds to vote. And the winner is? It's 2. University Hills, congratulations. I think there are some members of University Hills here. Is there members of University Hills here by chance? There are a couple, congratulations. Anyone can donate to any school, and we want to encourage you to do all that, to encourage you to support all of those schools to help them get over the deadline. The deadline, of course, is Monday, March 16th, so let's help all these schools get across. Friends, I am supremely proud of this program, and thank you again for your help. In fact, every time that you take your trash to the end of the street, I hope you take just a moment to read the side of your bin. We took a risk 6 years ago, but that's what leaders do. And our reward has been profound both economically and environmentally. Rochester Hills is now proudly viewed nationally for this leadership. Tonight I am proud to announce our latest effort in celebrating our environmental responsibility. The city of Rochester Hills was honored this year by being named a Tree City for the 25th consecutive year. What that essentially means is the Arbor Day Foundation recognizes that we care about, have a plan for, and understand the importance of trees in our city. Tonight we are issuing a community challenge and unveiling a new citywide campaign. In honor of the 25th anniversary of being a Tree City, we are asking the community to join with us in helping plant 25,000 trees over the next 12 months. Sound crazy? Here's our plan. First, the city is going to start by offering the first 250 people who want to participate in the city's free tree co-op program a tree in both the spring and the fall, 500 free trees in total. The residents can pick from a variety of species, and the city will come out, plant the tree, and guarantee it for a year. Now here's where we need your help. We have around 26,000 residential dwelling units in the city, so we're asking each home to plant a tree. One home, one tree. Together, we can make the most impactful difference in our community's tree canopy in history. Now, anytime you look to do something historic, it's always nice to have a little inspiration, and for our inspiration, we look no farther than our iconic city tree. So to kick things off, we will be planting little beb oaks, just like our famous city tree and America's largest beb oak, at each one of our parks and at each school in Rochester Hills to help underscore the generational importance of this initiative. This grand old gal's offspring will now be found all across our town, and we would love it if you and your family would take our challenge up as well. 25,000 trees, one home, one tree. Rochester Hills, can we do it? Let's get growing. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after these last short commercial messages.
Picture this, a town with a strong sense of community, a top award-winning school system that's close to unique natural amenities, a town with vibrant shopping destinations, all of them very close to home, so you're never far from your favorite places. A town in the perfect location, not too far north and not too far south, with a highly educated population. A perfect place to call home. That's pure Rochester Hills.
Tonight, friends, I hope you're clearly hearing several things. Our Rochester Hills team is exceptional and innovative, and those two words describe the way we've handled our finances. For years, the administration and fiscal team have provided financial forecasts looking 2 to 5 years into the future. But in 2010, we were the first city in Michigan to incorporate a 3-year budget. That's right, the first city. And while Rochester Hills has higher than average income and education levels, we too were blistered by the recession, losing 20% of our taxable value. Fortunately, our collective vision and innovative thinking helped us to not only reduce our debt, but also increase our general fund balance significantly since 2010. That, my friends, is where we're getting the money to do the most road work in 15 years. In Rochester Hills, you save first and then you spend. We sit now in an enviable position, ranked in the top 5% of Michigan municipalities for financial stability and able to invest in our residents' biggest areas of interest. And that financial stability is being recognized as Standard & Poor's and Fitch's rating agency have both awarded the city of Rochester Hills the coveted municipal bond, AAA bond rating. Congratulations to Keith Sawden, Pam Lee, and our entire fiscal team for their outstanding efforts. Additionally, for the past few years, we've produced both a financial summary report and a performance dashboard. Now, these documents provide a way for citizens to easily review our finances and simplify the budget process in very easy to read and understandable ways, both promoting transparency and accountability to our residents. In fact, our administration has won over 20 awards for innovation and transparency over the last several years. We are the Taylor Swifts of transparency. These accomplishments truly represent a team effort, from outstanding information delivered by our fiscal team to a city council with a clear vision and purpose. Rochester Hills is fortunate to have some of the region's best managing your money. And let me talk about that team for just a quick moment. Through all of the successes, adventures, innovations, challenges, and awards, the thing I am most pleased about is the absolutely awesome team I'm honored to be a part of. In past years, this is where I would go through and mention a significant accomplishment from each department. But I want to do something different this year and show you another side of our team by sharing a couple quick stories. In the early morning hours of Sunday, September 21st, the first tornado in the city's history struck the North Fairview Farms neighborhood. Within several hours, over 75 city employees responded to provide assistance. From our first responders to parks, building and ordinance, DPS, HR, and others, our team leapt into action and responded when our residents needed it the most. This quick and selfless response was recognized and appreciated by nearly every homeowner affected by the storm, as noted by countless resident emails and letters. In January, our city was introduced to Gage Garmo and his heroic fight against a rare form of bone cancer. Upon hearing the brave story of this young man, our employees again responded in amazing fashion and with heartfelt concern. Members of our incredible youth council, under the direction of our video production team, put together a tribute which reached 30,000 views in under a week and got the attention of Gage's hero Eminem to pay a special home visit. Gage's favorite color was yellow, so our amazing fire department brought out our yellow fire truck for a fundraiser and provided a very special yellow firefighter's helmet to cheer up our hometown hero. Our DPS team created hashtag Garmo Strong window stickers, which were displayed in all of our city vehicles and handed out to students at Rochester High. Our team rallied to support the community and the Garmo family in their time of need in the best ways we knew how. Gage eventually lost his battle, but the memory of this amazing young man has been emblazoned in our hearts. Mr. and Mrs. Garmo and their daughter Gracie are my special guests here tonight, and I want to say thank you to the Garmo family for sharing your son with our community. Our city celebrated its 30th birthday late last year, and that celebration involved honoring our employees and marking some of our accomplishments. But the most important aspect, however, was not the internal celebration, but the launching of an external challenge, 30 Days of Giving, a call to each of our team members to find some time in the next 30 days to give back, support, volunteer, or somehow do something for someone else. As you might imagine, our amazing team took the challenge head on and spent the next month supporting dozens of local charities with thousands of hours of their time. From serving food in Pontiac, packing lunches in Detroit, to driving Meals on Wheels in Rochester Hills, or just helping to build an access ramp for a homebound senior citizen. I could not have been more proud of our amazing team. Again, they responded with their hearts in situations that aren't scripted or a part of anyone's official job responsibilities. They care about what they do and the people they serve, and it's evident in the way they react to unique, once-in-a-lifetime challenges, to the everyday mundane task of simply answering a resident's phone call. That's who you have serving you, ladies and gentlemen, every single day. In our most recent resident survey, our residents validated our employees' hard work, as 97% of respondents reported feeling satisfied or very satisfied with their experience with one of our team members, 97%. Ladies and gentlemen, none of this would be possible without the amazing team of caring leaders we have here, and I would like to ask the employees of the City of Rochester Hills to please stand and be recognized. So the main challenge for our well-oiled machine is to keep improving, keep innovating, and keep getting better. One consistent strategic focus for our team is in the area of communication. In just about any organization, communication is the key to success. Well, as a city, I challenged our team to come up with better and more inclusive ways for our residents to engage their government and access information. And as you might imagine, they did just that. Thanks to the hard work of our communications team and MIS department, we launched Rochester Hills Connect, the city's first mobile app designed to make communication as simple and easy as possible. We became just the second city in Michigan to have our own app, and the results have been incredible. To date, nearly 5,000 people are connected to the city via this innovative tool and are helping to report potholes, get trail information, and receive the very latest breaking city news. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to introduce to you our newest initiative and the latest in innovative communication tools as we partner with MindMixer to officially launch Engage RH. Take a look.
We've done lots and lots of traditional public meetings, and the meetings tend to be not well attended. They tend to be a not very diverse group of people, and the unfortunate part about that for communities is they make lots of decisions based on a very small sample size of participants.
Government doesn't usually look towards citizens for solutions. They look towards citizens to consume solutions. By having this platform, people can engage with issues that they face in their city from sort of the comfort of their workplace or home.
MindMixer is unique in that it creates an environment where people feel empowered to be involved. And when you feel empowered to be involved, the first step to that is sharing your ideas.
Now we kind of see ourselves in the position of facilitating the ability for solutions coming from citizens to be implemented, as opposed to just being solution providers ourselves.
Giving people a voice to be involved, allowing them to be contributors to their communities, is what's going to help us move from stagnant challenges to actionable steps. And it's important for us, when we talk to people, to ask them, what are you doing to engage people in your community?
Connecting with our residents and have put our money where our mouth is. As a Rochester Hills resident, you will now have more ways to interact with your city than any community in Michigan. That's inclusive leadership, that's transparency, and that's what we're known for. We officially launched Engage RH tonight, and we have several questions already posted for our community's input. We invite you to visit rochesterhills.org/EngageRH to join the conversation. Friends, Rochester Hills is truly on a roll. We are a very blessed community, and I feel very blessed to be your mayor. I love this city deeply, and I feel so fortunate to be part of such an outstanding team of public servants. At the end of the day, with all of the growth, changes, innovation, and challenges, the final word on our success rests with our end users, you. And their thankfully overwhelming satisfaction with living in our beautiful town. By now you all know the numbers. 99% of our residents are happy and satisfied with living in our community. That's right, 99 out of 100 people asked were happy and satisfied with their decision to live in Rochester Hills. Friends, I'm proud to lead the most motivated and innovative team of municipal employees anywhere in Michigan. And I'm proud of our outstanding accomplishments in 2014 and even more excited about our ambitious plans in 2015. We've had a lot of fun delivering this message tonight in a unique and cool way. Our creative team enjoys putting on a show, and I think to some extent our audience expects it. But don't be mistaken. This is a powerful story with a powerful message of leadership, innovation, and promises made, promises kept. We have cemented our position as Southeast Michigan's fiscal, environmental, and innovative leader, and we have the awards to prove it. And as if that wasn't all enough, well, we went out and picked up the mail in October. Money Magazine, to be exact. Friends, you know what it said, and you're probably surprised they haven't mentioned more of it already, that our little community, out of 33,000 places to live in America, is #1 in Michigan and #9 in the country. Signed, sealed, delivered. We are among the absolute best in the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the state of our city is incredibly strong. In fact, it's enviably the best in Michigan and one of the top 10 in America. Thank you for the privilege to serve as your host tonight and as mayor of this great town. I look forward to keeping these good things going and leading the city for many years to come. Thank you all for the role you play in helping make Rochester Hills, well, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. How about a little help from our special guests tonight? Senator Anita, Les, and Seth, tell our guests here tonight what you guys are always telling me.
Rochester Hills is the preeminent place.
Preeminent place
Preeminent place
to live,
work, and raise a family.
Ladies and gentlemen, may God bless you, may God bless our city, and may God bless our country for many years to come. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Good night.